They want you broke. Not poor. Broke. There's a difference. Poor means you never had money. Broke means you had it and they took it back. Every dollar you earn, they've already decided where it goes. You think you're building wealth? You're building their wealth. You're the machine that runs on debt, fueled by desire, maintained by fear. And the most brilliant part? You volunteered for this. Let me take you back to a moment in time. Not ancient history, not some far-off civilization. I'm talking about your grandfather's lifetime. Picture this. It's the middle of the 20th century. The year is 1948. A man walks into a car dealership in Detroit. He's wearing a suit he bought 12 years ago. The fabric is worn but clean. His shoes are resoled. Third time. He's been saving for 7 years to buy this car. 7 years. He pays cash, counts out the bills on the dealer's desk, drives home, parks it in his driveway. That car will last him 20 years. He'll maintain it himself. Change the oil in his garage. Replace the brake pads with his son watching, learning. This is normal. This is how normal people bought normal things. Now picture this. It's last Tuesday. A woman walks into a car dealership. She makes more money in a year than that man from 1948 made in a decade, adjusted for inflation. She's there to buy a car, not because her old car died. Her old car is 3 years old, still runs perfectly. She's there because the new model has better Bluetooth, ambient lighting. A feature she'll use twice. She doesn't have the money. Not really. But that doesn't matter anymore. The dealer smiles. He's not a car salesman. He's a loan officer who happens to sell cars. 6 years of payments, 84 months, interest rate she doesn't understand. Gap insurance, extended warranty, paint protection. By the time she drives off the lot, she owes more than the car is worth. And she feels good about it, because everyone does this. This is normal now. What happened between 1948 and last Tuesday? How did we go from a nation of savers to a nation of debtors? From delayed gratification to instant everything? This isn't an accident. This wasn't organic cultural evolution. This was designed, engineered, implemented with the precision of a military operation. And it worked so well that you can't even see it anymore. You think this is just how life works. You think your grandparents were broke too. They weren't. They were something you've never been, financially sovereign. The system needs you broke because broke people are obedient. Broke people show up to jobs they hate. Broke people don't take risks. Broke people don't start revolutions. Broke people click agree on terms and conditions without reading. Broke people are so busy servicing debt that they don't have time to ask why the game is rigged. A person with 12 months of savings is dangerous. They can say no. They can walk away. They can wait. Patience is power. And power is exactly what they spent 70 years taking from you. Let me tell you a story about a man named Edward Bernays. You've never heard of him. That's intentional. He died in 1995 at 103 years old. In that century of life, he did more to shape your mind than any president, any general, any pope. He was the nephew of Sigmund Freud. More importantly, he understood something his uncle discovered. People don't know why they want what they want. We're not rational. We're rationalizing. We decide with our guts and justify with our heads. Bernays looked at this insight and saw an opportunity. He saw a weapon. In the 1920s, Bernays worked for the American Tobacco Company. They had a problem. Women didn't smoke. It was considered unladylike, vulgar. The company was losing 50% of the market. So Bernays staged an event, the 1929 Easter Sunday Parade in New York City. He hired a group of young debutantes, wealthy socialites, fashion-forward women. He told the press there would be a protest, suffragettes lighting torches of freedom. The cameras gathered. The women pulled out Lucky Strike cigarettes and lit them in public. The photos went national. Smoking wasn't vulgar anymore. It was liberation. It was feminism. It was progress. Sales doubled. Bernays didn't sell cigarettes. He sold identity. He sold the feeling of being the kind of person who smokes. This is when everything changed. Before Bernays, advertising sold function. You bought shoes because yours had holes. You bought flour because you ran out. After Bernays, advertising sold transformation. You bought shoes because the right shoes made you confident. You bought a brand of flour because it made you a better mother. Consumption wasn't about need anymore. It was about becoming, and you can never become enough. There's always a better version waiting, a newer model of yourself, just one more purchase away. But here's the problem Bernays and the industrialists faced in the 1920s and 30s. People still had old habits. The people who lived through the Great Depression, through the scarcity of wartime rationing, they remembered what it felt like to have nothing. These people saved, they repaired, they reused. A society of savers is a society of free people, but it's terrible for business. Factories were running at full capacity. The assembly lines that built tanks and bombers during World War II needed something to build. The economy had transformed into a production machine, and machines need fuel. The fuel was you, your labor, your paycheck, your wants converted into needs, converted into debt. So they had to break you. Not all at once, slowly, generationally. They needed to rewire the American brain, turn the savers into spenders, turn thrift from a virtue into a vice, make frugality seem cheap, make restraint seem boring, make patience seem naive. Enter the 1950s, post-war boom. The suburbs exploded outward like a slow-motion detonation. Identical houses, identical lawns, identical families. But here's what nobody tells you about the 50s. Those families were drowning. The middle class you've heard about, the golden age of American prosperity, it was a trap being set in real time. Yes, wages were higher. Yes, single-income households could afford homes. But something else was happening. Something quieter. Television came into the home. Not just the technology, the weapon. Because television wasn't about the programs. It was about the commercials. 30 seconds of desire injection straight into your living room, every night. Repetition, ritual, hypnosis. Think about what a commercial does. It shows you a life slightly better than yours. Not wildly better. Not a mansion and a yacht. Just a cleaner kitchen, a shinier car. A happier family eating a specific brand of cereal. It's always just out of reach. And the implication is clear. You're failing. Not because you're a bad person. Because you don't have the right products. You're a problem that purchases can solve. The advertiser is a doctor. The product is medicine. Your inadequacy is the disease. And they'll never cure you because a cured patient stops buying medicine. The 1950s also gave birth to the credit card. Not invented then, but democratized then. Before this, credit was for major purchases, homes, cars, things you'd pay off and own. But general-purpose credit cards? That was new. Diners Club launched in 1950. American Express followed in 1958. These weren't tools. They were psychological infrastructure. They severed the connection between payment and pain. When you hand over cash, you feel it, the physical loss. Your wallet gets lighter, but a card? A card is abstract. It's a magic trick. The pain is delayed, diffused, removed from the moment of purchase. You swipe, you sign, you leave with the product, and the pleasure centers in your brain light up. The bill comes 30 days later when the dopamine is gone. By then, you've already moved on to the next purchase. The next hit. They studied this. Retailers knew that people spend more with credit cards than cash, somewhere between 12 and 18% more. Not because the products cost more, because the psychological barrier is gone. The friction is removed. You're not spending money. You're just acquiring things. The reckoning comes later. And when it does, when that credit card bill arrives and you can't pay it in full, that's when they really have you. Because now you're not just a consumer, you're an annuity. A monthly payment. A stream of revenue that flows from your account to theirs, forever, or until you break completely. But even credit cards weren't enough, because some people still had discipline. Some people cut up their cards, paid cash, lived within their means. These people were problems, inefficiencies in the system. So the system evolved. It metastasized. Buy now, pay later. Financing for furniture, financing for phones, financing for a $800 purse, 12 easy payments, 0% interest for 6 months. They don't tell you what happens at month 7. They don't have to. By month 7, you've forgotten. You're financing something else. The student loan infrastructure exploded in the 1990s and 2000s. Colleges became debt factories. 18-year-old kids signing documents for $50,000, $80,000, $150,000. Money they couldn't conceptualize. Degrees that didn't guarantee jobs. But it didn't matter, because the debt was guaranteed by the government. Couldn't be discharged in bankruptcy. These loans were safer than mortgages, safer than car loans. A student loan was a chain welded to your ankle before your prefrontal cortex finished developing. Before you knew what a budget was, before you'd ever paid rent, and once you graduated, you weren't free to take risks, to travel, to start a business, to say no to a bad boss. You had payments. The payments started 6 months after graduation, every month, for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Some people will die still paying student loans. They'll garnish Social Security checks. The debt will outlive the debtor. This is the architecture of control. Layer after layer. Credit cards, student loans, car loans, mortgages, medical debt. The algorithm is simple. Identify every major life event and attach a payment plan. Graduation, debt. Transportation, debt. Housing, debt. Healthcare, debt. Even dying costs money. Funerals are financed now. You can be in debt beyond the grave, your family inheriting nothing but bills. And the cruelest part? They convinced you this is normal, that everyone does it, that debt is a tool. Leverage, they call it. Good debt versus bad debt. It's all marketing, all propaganda. Debt is control. Always. The borrower is servant to the lender. That's not a metaphor. That's a quote from a book older than capitalism. They knew this 3,000 years ago. We forgot it in 70. Now let's talk about lifestyle inflation. This is the silent killer. You get a raise, 10% more money. Finally. You've been working hard. You deserve it. So what do? You upgrade. Better apartment, nicer car, eating out more. A vacation you've been putting off. Subscriptions, streaming services, meal kits, premium gym membership, monthly wine club. You're treating yourself. You earned it. But here's the trick. Your expenses rise exactly as fast as your income. Faster, actually. Because you're not just spending the raise, you're financing the lifestyle the raise makes possible. You're living like someone who makes 10% more, but after taxes, after the new payments, you're actually keeping less than before. You make more and have less. This is the treadmill, and it speeds up every time you try to get ahead. The system trains you young. It starts in high school now, earlier. Brand consciousness in middle school. Kids who can't do fractions know the difference between status sneakers. They know which logo means you matter, which phone means you're poor. This isn't natural. Children aren't born materialistic. They're taught, trained, conditioned through media, through peers, through parents who were themselves conditioned. It's intergenerational trauma disguised as aspiration. The average American sees between 4,000 and 10,000 advertisements per day, every single day. On your phone, on billboards, on buses, on the radio, in podcasts. Product placement in movies and TV shows so subtle you don't even register it. The hero drinks a specific brand of beer, drives a specific car, wears a specific watch. It seeps in, osmosis. You don't think you're influenced. Everyone thinks they're immune to advertising. Everyone is wrong. If advertising didn't work, they wouldn't spend hundreds of billions of dollars on it every year. They do it because it works. On you. On everyone. And social media? That's the nuclear option. That's advertising weaponized and personalized. The algorithm knows you better than you know yourself. It knows what you looked at, what you lingered on, what you almost bought. It knows your insecurities, your aspirations, your breaking point, and it shows you exactly what will make you click buy. Influencers aren't people anymore. They're walking advertisements. Their lives are products. Their authenticity is a sales technique. They show you their perfect kitchen, their flawless skin, their organized closet, and you feel insufficient. So you buy the organizing system, the skincare routine, the kitchen gadget. You're not buying the product. You're buying the life you think comes with it. It never does. This is why minimalism became trendy, not because people suddenly discovered the joy of less, because they were drowning, suffocating under the weight of stuff, houses full of things they don't use, closets packed with clothes they don't wear, garages that can't fit cars because they're full of storage bins containing more stuff. So, they discovered minimalism, Marie Kondo, tiny homes, digital nomadism. And what did the system do? It monetized it. You can buy minimalist furniture, minimalist wardrobes, minimalist planners. You can spend thousands of dollars learning how to own less. The irony is invisible to most people, but it's there. The system always wins. It absorbs every rebellion and sells it back to you. Here's what they don't want you to understand. You don't have a spending problem. You have a thinking problem. Your brain has been hacked, deliberately, systematically. The greatest minds of multiple generations, psychologists, neuroscientists, marketers, behavioral economists, they've all been studying you, how you think, how you decide, what makes you buy, and they've deployed that knowledge against you. Every app interface, every store layout, every commercial, every email subject line, it's all weaponized psychology. You're in a fight you didn't know you entered, against opponents you can't see, using weapons you don't understand. The escape isn't a budget. Budgets fail because they're restrictive, they're diets. And diets don't work long-term because they rely on willpower. Willpower depletes. You can't willpower your way out of a system designed to drain willpower. The escape is philosophical. It's a change in identity. You have to stop being a consumer. That's the word they use for you. Consumer, not citizen, not human. Consumer. Your value is measured in your consumption. Your utility is how much you buy. When you die, they calculate your lifetime customer value. How much profit you generated for corporations. That's your legacy in their spreadsheet. You have to become something else. An operator, an optimizer, someone who sees the game and refuses to play, someone who earns money and keeps it, who buys assets instead of liabilities. Who measures wealth, not in what you own, but in what you owe, or better, what you don't owe. Freedom isn't having everything. Freedom is needing nothing. Needing nothing they can sell you. That's the threat. That's what scares the system. A person who can't be advertised to, can't be manipulated, can't be leveraged. That person is ungovernable. Think about what financial independence actually means. It means your time is yours. You don't sell hours for dollars. You don't ask permission to take a day off. You don't tolerate disrespect because you need the paycheck. Money isn't the goal. Time is the goal. Money is just the tool that buys time. But you've been taught backward. You trade time for money, then trade that money for things that don't give you time back. You buy a bigger house farther from work. Now you commute 2 hours a day. You bought a burden. You bought chains. The house owns you, not the other way around. The truly wealthy, the people who understand how this works, they think differently. They don't ask what they can afford. They ask what things cost in time. That car payment? That's 40 hours of your life, every month, for 6 years. That's 2,880 hours. That's 120 days. 4 months of your life. For a car that depreciates, is the car worth 4 months of your finite existence? The wealthy say no. They buy used, they pay cash, or they don't buy at all, because they value their time more than their image. Here's the secret they don't teach. Wealth isn't built by making more. It's built by keeping more. You can earn $1 million a year and be broke. You can earn $50,000 a year and be wealthy. It's not the input, it's the output. It's the gap between what comes in and what goes out. That gap is your power. That gap is your freedom. Make that gap as wide as possible. Not by earning more, though that helps, by needing less, by wanting less, by being less susceptible to the manipulation. Stop watching commercials. Literally. Skip them. Block them. Pay for ad-free services if you have to. Every commercial you watch is a targeted attack on your contentment. They need you dissatisfied. If you're satisfied, you don't buy. So they manufacture dissatisfaction. They point out problems you didn't know you had. They create insecurity where none existed. Your teeth aren't white enough. Your car isn't new enough. Your phone is 2 years old. You're falling behind. Everyone else is upgrading. You should too. It's a lie. A profitable lie. But a lie nonetheless. Unfollow influencers. All of them. Their job is to make you feel inadequate, so you buy solutions. That's the entire model. They're paid to live aspirational lives that make your life look insufficient by comparison. It's not real. Their homes are staged. Their bodies are filtered. Their relationships are curated. Their happiness is performed. You're comparing your behind the scenes to their highlight reel. You'll always lose that comparison. Always. The only winning move is not to play. Buy less. Not as a sacrifice, as a liberation. Every purchase is a decision, a trade. You are trading hours of your life for an object. Make that trade consciously, deliberately, not impulsively. Wait 72 hours before any non-essential purchase. If you still want it after 3 days, maybe buy it. Most of the time, you'll forget about it. The want will evaporate. That's how you know it wasn't real desire. It was manufactured, implanted, temporary. Pay cash when possible. Physical currency. The psychological difference is real. Cash hurts to spend. That's good. That pain is signal. It's your brain telling you the truth about value. Cards lie. Apps lie. One-click checkout lies. Cash tells the truth. When your wallet is empty, you're done. Simple, final, honest. Get comfortable with no. No is a complete sentence. No. I don't want to go to that expensive restaurant. No. I don't need the new phone. No. I'm not buying a house. I can't afford to impress people I don't like. No is power. Every time you say no to them, you say yes to yourself. Yes to your time. Yes to your freedom. Yes to your future. The system needs you broke because broke people are desperate. And desperate people don't ask questions. They accept what's offered. They're grateful for scraps. They think small. They give up. That's the goal. To keep you tired. To keep you scared. To keep you in the perpetual cycle of earning, spending, owing. Never quite getting ahead. Never quite drowning. Just treading water forever. But you can stop. Right now. Today. Not all at once. You can't undo decades of conditioning overnight. But you can start. Awareness is the first step. See the system. Name it. Understand it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Every commercial becomes propaganda. Every influencer becomes a salesperson. Every must-have product becomes transparent manipulation. The veil lifts. The magic trick stops working. Then comes action. Small at first. Cancel one subscription. Pay off one debt. Save $100. It doesn't sound like much. It isn't much. But it's motion. It's direction. It's momentum. And momentum compounds. Those small victories stack. That $100 becomes 1,000. That 1,000 becomes 10,000. That 10,000 becomes freedom. Real freedom. Not the fake freedom of buying whatever you want. The real freedom of needing nothing they're selling. Of walking away from bad situations. Of taking risks. Of living deliberately instead of desperately. They want you broke. But you don't have to stay that way. You never did.